Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel, and this is your tip of the week. I have been recently trying to improve upon some of the things around my house by trying to finish decorating certain rooms. But while I was doing that, I came across an old table runner that I made years ago. It was one of the first videos I had made for my channel. It's just a plain table runner. And I thought, well, I'm going to take this table runner and embellish it somehow. So you could do this to an existing table runner you have. Maybe you bought a plain one and you wish it would look differently. Now, so I thought, well, okay, I guess I'll do my standard rickrack. So here's a narrow rickrack, about 1/2 inch. There's even rickrack that's narrower than this. It's called baby rickrack. But I really love this wide 1-inch rickrack. But it's not all that easily accessible. I used to be able to get it at Walmart, but they haven't been carrying it anymore. So what you're looking at is the last of my supplies. You can go on the internet and buy it, and I've seen it in one store in St. George, Utah. They have it. But I really didn't want to put this on, but I like the rickrack look. So let me show you what I came up with. So I spent a few minutes and figured out how I can make my own rickrack. This is not a hard thing to make. Actually, it goes pretty quick. So let me show you how you go about making your own rickrack. So whatever you decide to put this on, remember it's not just for table runners. You can put it on clothing, tote bags, anything you want to do. So you want to measure the finished size. If you're making something right now, it's not done. You want to take the finished size measurement that you're trying to get, and that's the number you're going to need to use. This is paper that I purchased from Home Depot in the paint department. You've seen me use the paper from Home Depot a lot. It's very affordable and it comes in a variety of sizes and weights. This is real thin. It's my favorite. It's also 6 inches wide, so it's perfect for this pattern. So you want to cut a piece that is the width of your finished project. So remember, this is 6 inches wide, and my piece I cut 15 inches wide, which is the width of the table runner. Now, this next step all depends on how big your rickrack is going to be. In other words, how long is what I should say, how long it's going to be. So because this isn't all that wide, I'm only going to need to fold it a couple of times. But if yours is much bigger, then of course you would need to fold it even more. So I'm going to fold it in half and make sure your edges are lined up, and you want to put a good crease in your paper. And then fold it again. And again, make sure those edges are lined up perfectly. Otherwise, your rickrack may not come out all that nice. So if it's longer, you may have to fold it one more time. I often use, in designing patterns for my sewing projects, these circles. They're made by June Taylor. You get about 5 different sizes of circle templates, and their newer ones have the lines going right through the center, so it's really easy to line things up. Take the center line and put it on the folded edge over here. All right. Now, the top of my circle is about 1/4 of an inch away from this edge of the paper. You don't want it right on the edge, because if your paper's not lined up perfectly, your little pattern's not going to come out very nice. So line it up straight across right there. Now, you have this line and this line over here. You're going to draw around the curved edge only halfway. So draw right about there. Now leave your template right here on this folded edge, that center line, and now go all the way down and then stop with the line going this way about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the paper. And line it up on the center fold. And again, draw only halfway. All right, so now just leave it there and slide it right across. Now we're going to do everything in reverse. Now push it this way. Put that center line on your fold, and the top edge up here is 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the paper. And again, only draw about halfway. Now just move it all the way down. Place the line going in the middle, going across the other way. Place it about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the paper. And now just draw about halfway. So now you have lines that look like this. All you have to do is connect them. And there you have your rickrack pattern. Now you can use scissors to cut these out or a rotary cutter. No matter which one you decide to use, make sure your paper stays folded together. So if the paper begins to shift, it may not come out very nice. So I'm just going to put this weight on here, and I'm going to use a rotary cutter. And then just cut right on that curved line. And then go down here to the other side and do the same thing. When you're done, it should look like this after cutting it out. And then all you have to do is unfold it, and there you have your rickrack design. This next step, this is one of multiple ways you can actually do this. I'm showing you the easiest way if you're a beginner. There again, there are other methods for doing this next step. This is fusible interfacing. And this particular one is Pellon mid to heavy interfacing. Now, I prefer a lightweight interfacing, but I live in a small town and this is all I could find. But this will work just fine. So on one side, it's rough. That's where the glue is. It's very bumpy. So I'm going to turn it over to the smooth side. It's very smooth along here. Place your paper template on top of that smooth side. Remember, don't do this on the bumpy side, the smooth side. And then you're just going to trace around it on both sides. So after tracing, remove the paper, and then at each end it should look like this. Draw a 1-inch line going straight out like this. Don't make it curvy, it's just straight. And again, you do that at the other end. Now take your interfacing and the fabric you want to use for the rickrack, and you're going to bring them together. So this is the pretty side, front side, right side of your fabric, the most colorful side. Place the interfacing with the rough side, the glue side, against it. So this is the smooth side right here. And go ahead and pin it down. Then you're going to stitch right on the drawn lines on both sides. Do not stitch the ends closed. For this next step, you can either use a rotary cutter like this, or pinking shears, or regular scissors with just a straight edge. It's up to you. Not everybody has pinking shears. So whichever method you select, you're going to cut out away from the line by 1/4 of an inch. So don't cut on your stitch line. Go out 1/4 of an inch and cut it out. If you're not using the pinking shears, then you would need to do one more step, and that's using, I recommend, a small pair of scissors. And you would just cut little slits all the way around, because this is just one big, giant, long, curved edge. So you would do this on both sides. Now go to one of the ends and then begin to turn it front side out. So after you've done that, you want to make sure you smooth out your edges. So you might have to reach in and push out some of the curved edges to get them to come out. Then you're going to place it anywhere you want on your project. It's up to you. On the table runner, I took the ends over here and I folded the edge under 1/4 inch and then wrapped it around the edges of the table runner. If you're making a table runner from scratch, then you would lay this on top of your fabric and then do your stitching to keep it down, and then you would finish the project off. So this rickrack would be sewn into the seam, but it doesn't mean you can't do this by adding it on. Then it's up to you what kind of stitch you want to put on it. And I've talked a lot about applique stitching. So let's take a look at some of the applique stitches. These are some of the applique stitches that I have on my sewing machines. And if you're not sure which ones on your machines are applique stitches, just refer to your user's manual. So I wound up picking the one that looks like this one. Now there's one thing I forgot to mention before you do your applique stitching. Because this is fusible interfacing, you want to take it to your ironing board, place a damp cloth over this, and fuse it down. It makes it much easier to stitch on it. If you didn't use the fusible interfacing, you just use plain fabric on the back without any glue, then of course you would have to pin it down. So I just wanted to clarify that. One of the things I did with my applique stitch was I changed the length and the width just a little bit. Now this is a personal choice, so it's up to you if you want to change anything. So I changed the width to 3.0 and the length to 1.0. And so then I went ahead and stitched along both of the edges all along here. So if you think you may want to do this again, I highly recommend you write on your template what you did. In other words, what was the size of your paper that you started out with? Then you also want to write down what circle template did you use. Originally I did one with 3-inch, but in this demonstration I used a 4-inch diameter circle. And then I wrote down the stitch number that I used that was on my baby lock, and I also wrote down the length and width. Then take your pattern and put it in your sewing notebook that gives all your little stitching notes that you've created. If you want to know how to set this book up and how to get started in it, then go to my tip of the week, episode number 10. I was so excited how this turned out that I decided to try it on one of my hand bathroom towels, and I just love this. So I'm definitely going to use this technique more often. Many of you tell me all the time that you really enjoy the tips of the week, that you've learned a lot. But maybe you're interested in learning even more, and that's learning how to do cross stitch. If you've never done it, I take you from the very first step all the way through. Or maybe you've done a little bit and you've been wanting to get back into it. You don't have to make great big projects in cross stitch. These little things here are very affordable, take very few supplies. This is a little sachet bag, a little Christmas tree ornament, and this is a little bookmark. And then when you feel you're ready, you can move on up to a little bit larger project like this. Now, if you're interested in looking at my cross-stitch tips, there will be a link listed below your YouTube screen in the description section. So just scroll down, check on Show More or the down arrow, and you will see those links appearing. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tip of the week and that you learned something new. Now, don't be afraid to experiment. I experiment all the time. It doesn't mean that everything I do turns out great. I'm just like all of the rest of you. I create something that winds up in the trash can. It does happen once in a while. And I've been sewing for many, many years, and I'm still learning like all of you. If you're interested in looking at all my other tips of the week, and I have a lot, scroll down to that description section to see those video links. Now, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.